It's currently 5:47 in the morning and we are at Gold Coast Performance Centre for a track session. Now, to get faster, you normally got to run faster. I'm a big fan of the Maffetone method. I like zone 2 running, I like aerobic running, but it can't be a whole training block. So track days and speed sessions are absolutely vital. And that's why we're here. We're going to run these track sessions. I run these track sessions much faster than I would any normal run, any or tempo run or interval run. These sessions are about top speed and just getting your body used to moving and contrasting to the Maffetone method of zone 2. So obviously controlling your heart rate, and here's about max and sub-max output. I like these sessions, they're just really taxing on the leg. Obviously dealing with shin splints at the moment, so making sure I stretch properly right now, warm up properly, and then post recovery this session is vital as we go into a back session later. But today's going to be a track session. I'm going to do a warm up and then we're going to get into 8 times 300 meters max to the sub-max pace. Let's go. Oh man, I'm not that fast. Okay, I'm doing these 300 meters in about 50 seconds, 49 seconds. That is 3 minutes a kilometer. That's world record marathon pace. And I can do it for probably about a minute and a half. And that's mental. Yeah, 8 times 300, done. So I'm often pretty tired by the time I get to my afternoon gym session, especially if I run in the morning. So I'll normally take a carb snack with me. So we've got a banana and or 4 gummy sweets. So I combine it's about 20 grams of carbs in a banana and 20 grams in 4 sweets, and it's just to give me a kick into the session. And I don't take pre-workout anymore. So it's either these kind of snacks, or if I'm deep into marathon prep or event prep, I'll take something like G1M Sport, 1 scoop or 2 scoops. With electrolytes, it's just a way to carb up for a session. So yeah, as I say, like we're all tired, I'm exhausted a lot of the time, and just having a carb kick can really help get through a session. And this is the kind of thing that I think makes a difference performing through a session properly and making the most of that kind of 45 minute slot. So yeah, now time to gym. In my opinion, in the last kind of 10, 12 years in the gym, the front squat is possibly the most important leg exercise that I do. When I first went in the gym, I was doing some heavy back squat work when I was probably 21, 22, and I popped a hip flexor, and I spent about 3 months out of the gym. And ever since that point, I've had to struggle hitting depth. What I found is that the front squat is a great way to straighten out my back and make sure I can hit really nice depth as I come down through the middle of the squat. More recently, as I got into more tempo and interval work and much more marathon distance work, the front squat's been awesome for protecting my quads, protecting my knees, making sure I work my hips and my glutes. The combination of a heavy front squat and a light back squat gives me enough activation of the quads and the hammies. And so in my opinion, I think the front squat is something that you need to integrate into your workout weekly. Practice the grip types. In my opinion, I'm not at all a fan of what is essentially the California grip. I find if you're in this situation, you're leaning forward way too much. So if you watch any of like the world-class Chinese powerlifters, like the really world-class ones, you'll see how upright they are in this position and how they lock fingers and hands under, like so. Start with the goblet squat, start with holding a kettlebell and doing some front squats as body weight work, but integrating the front squat into your routine will add weight to your back squat, it will help you deadlift, it will help you running, it will help your muscular endurance, and yeah, I wouldn't be here without a match with a front squat. I think one of the most underrated things that I've added to hyperactive training in the last few years is the Sauna Ice Bath mix, and it's made a huge difference to my mental health, dealing with clinical depression. I only do it like once a month, once every 2 months, where I'll do a a hardcore ice bath, 3 minutes, and then 15 minutes in the sauna. I'll do that 4 times for an hour and a half loop, and just get such a good mental and physical reset on how I'm feeling. I'm like, I sleep better those next few days. I just get a kind of calm, mellow feeling that comes over me. It's a great way to recover and it's like any muscle issues and any bone structure issues. So I encourage the sauna ice bath mixture. Sweat it out, jump in the ice bath, cool it down, and it will change how you feel, how you recover. As soon as I can get an infrared sauna in the house or a steam sauna in the house and an ice bath, I'll be doing it immediately because it's been life-changing. And yeah, it made a huge difference in recovery and my mental state, just being able to have these moments to relax to myself and think and pause and work on the big stuff mentally. The sauna ice bath is just next level. I know there's obviously anabolic benefits to saunaing after your workouts and promoting HGH and promoting muscle growth. And I encourage you, if you ever get chances to use a sauna or to enjoy it at your gym, just, you know, even 10-15 minutes in light warmth, 60 degrees in here is nothing. It can just help sweat out some of what you're feeling and yeah, it's great for you mentally. Feeling better for it. Going for the banana option. I'll save the gummy sweets for next time, but I think hybrid training is hard enough without under fueling or not timing your fuel properly. And I'll be the first one to say that you don't need to nail down your supplementation, nutrition around meals all the time. Just get the right nutrients in every 24 hours and you'll be fine. But I think when it comes to carbing up and fueling properly for workouts, you don't want to feel off or low energy or low vibe for 50% of your day or 50% of your training as a hybrid athlete. So nail down pre-run or pre-gym fueling, get those carbs in, and it'll help you stay energized and focused and keeping that training ticking along, because what you need is momentum. And if you're losing momentum because you're not eating well enough or fueling properly or not carbing up, then you feel like shit, and you don't want that. Alright, it's definitely time for lunch. Now, being a hybrid athlete is awesome because you can make huge progress in really little time. And because you can make huge progress, you might as well track that and do that properly week by week by week using progressive overload. Now, normally I'll add 2.5 kilograms per week or 5 pounds per week to a bench press or overhead press. And you'll see as these weeks go through, there are kind of deload weeks every 4 or 5 weeks where you have a high lift, you deload and you keep that 2.5 kilo progression every week's lift going for about a 3-month period. If we look at this more detailed view of what progress looks like, you'll see you have these 2.5 kilogram increments per week over a 3 rep max lift. I don't like doing 1 rep max for progress because there's so many variables to 1 rep max. So the 3 rep max, there's a bit more leeway in with eaten right, slept right, recovered right. Whereas 1 rep can be so determined on the day or the hour that you're lifting. So you'll see that week 1, if we start at 80 kilos and we're adding 2.5 kilos a week, 82.5, 85, 87.5. We have a deload week in week number 5 where we take pressure off, and you see why this is important when we come to the deadlift and squat version of its progressive overload program. And then we jump back into 90, 92.5, 95, 97.5, and then a deload week again. And over a 15-week period, or depending on how long you're lifting, 3-4 months, you can add 20 or 30 kilos, 50 odd pounds to these core lifts by just adding small amounts each week. And I think that's what makes lifting or progressive overload in the hybrid format so interesting, is because you're running so much and you're lifting so much, being able to run and do incremental progress in the gym means you can maintain muscle mass, you can burn fat, you can make sure that you're making steady progress without kind of getting absolutely gassed or burned out week by week. So this is how I'd approach a bench press or overhead press when it comes to progressive overload. Now let's look at a deadlift or squat version of this diagram. The approach for deadlift and squat to progressive overload is the same concept, but instead of 2.5 kilos or 5 pounds every week, you add 5 kilos or kind of just over 10 pounds to your incremental lifts week on week. And this is for deadlift and squat progress, being the biggest compound lifts and the ones we can add the most weight. Again, we use a 3 rep max, not a 1 rep max. But if you look at week 1 starting at 100, and this is in kilos, And this was based on when I was probably 2 years in, or 18 months in the gym, and I wanted to focus back in on deadlifts over a 3-month period. It is possible to add 5 kilos a week and then hammer these peak weeks where you're doing max reps. And the goal of these peaks weeks is basically do 3 rep, 3 rep, 3 rep, 3 rep, and then do a weight on week 5, which aligns with the deload week, if we saw with the bench press and overhead press, where you're going for absolute failure and absolute max reps and max growth in that window. The following week, when the overhead press and the bench press ticks up again, we actually use for deadlifts and squats the same weight we did in our peak week as a lower rep week. And this is almost a deload week without taking any weight out, it's just lowering the reps you do. And then of course you'll go back into 125, 130, 135 at 3 rep max. And then again, at week 10, you'll do 140 for max reps. Following week is a half deload into 140 for lower reps. And you'll keep this progress going over a 3 to 4 month period. And this progressive overload depends so much on eating a lot of food, eating the right nutrients, eating enough calories, making sure you're sleeping and recovering properly. But you have this window of time, especially if you're in the first kind of 2 or 3 years of lifting. But you know, even as you've been in the gym for 5, 8, 10 years, there's always a chance for you to take a deadlift or a squat and say you can do a 140 deadlift. You can aim for 180 over a 3 or 4 month period and just incrementally add that 5 kilo, 10 pound amount to each lift. But the key to this progress is these max rep weeks. So you'll probably find at 120, if you can rep 140, you want to be looking for 10 or 12 reps. When you get to 140, you want to be doing 8 to 10 reps. When you get to 160, 165, you want 6 to 8 reps. And the idea is that you do most of your anabolic growth and your work in these max rep peak weeks, which disparatively align with your deload weeks for bench press and overhead press, which I'll show you now. So this is a comparison of the big lifts on the top here, and that's deadlift and squat, and the overhead press and bench lift below. And you'll notice that your goal, what you're trying to aim for, is that the deload weeks in overhead press and bench down here align with the peak weeks for deadlift and squat. And the idea behind this is that you're not getting to a 1 week period where you're doing both max reps as heavy as possible in that increment for bench, overhead press, squat, deadlift. So you want to try and align these two, and this is what these lines are here. So it's effectively making sure that you have these divots where your progress is aligned between both sets of lift and you're being fair across both sets of lift. So you're being disciplined across the bench overhead press, but also across the squat and the deadlift. And lots of squiggly lines, I realise, but this is what I've used for 10 years. And there's been times when I've been at a 180, 185 kilos, so 400 pound deadlift, and I spent 3 months adding 50 or 60 or 70 pounds, which, you know, doesn't seem like much, but when you're doing 2.5 times body weight deadlift, this incremental additions each week to your workload can bring huge muscular gains. And so progressive overload is absolutely vital, and tracking it and measuring it will make huge steps for you in a gym as it has done for me. So I encourage this concept massively.